Sheldon, where do you think the Matthews Meyer line is at? And how much do you think the dynamic changes for them on home ice where you have last change?
Yeah, it changes a lot. I mean, last change helps, and that's a big factor. But I think in terms of where they're at, I mean, they, at 5-on-5, it was tough for them on the road, but it was also tough for our whole team. Like, it's part of that is the matchup, so part of it is the fact that, like, we're just chasing the game a lot. Even when we're up 3-0, I mean, then you're defending and they're pushing. In game 3, but in game 4, we didn't have the puck a whole lot on offense, shift over shift, and when you're coming onto the ice and momentum is going the other team's way, regardless what the matchups are, it's tough sledding. So those guys have continued to play hard, and with all that said, they third period of game 3, Matthews had some of his best chances of the series. They've been good on the power play for us too, so lots of good signs there for us. But in terms of those guys and coming on home ice, we'll be able to control the matchup a little bit better too.
What's the biggest benefit of having Nylander and Tavares split up or on different lines?
Just, I mean, it's so the focus for me is not necessarily having Nylander and Tavares apart as much as it is having Mikheyev and Kerfoot and Engvall and Kampf on 2 different lines.
At this time of year, Sheldon, what does the balance of what's important when it comes to motivating the guys versus the tactical piece of your job, does one become more important than the other?
Well, I don't think motivation is lacking in any way for anybody that's playing in the playoffs. So I don't think it's necessarily motivation, but I think it's managing emotions, I think, is really more so what it's about. And that's what the playoffs are, up and down. And I mean, it's a tough thing, right? Even the media's up and down. I mean, right? The emotions all over the place. That's the nature of the game, and that's why we love this time of year, because you're experiencing so many different things, and you're sort of riding that wave. And as the coach, it's your job to keep things focused and keep things dialed in. So it's more about that, about keeping the team on task and focusing on what we can control. The motivational stuff is, that's sort of unnecessary, or it takes care of itself at this time of year. But certainly managing emotions is a big part of it. And then, the tactical piece, as the series goes on, even that becomes a little bit less. You get to know each other. Each team's made a couple subtle adjustments each game. And then, by the time you reach this part of the series, it's really sort of about attrition more than anything, and trying to wear teams down and try to get an edge mentally, physically when you can. And I think that's been at play a little bit in each of the games you've seen. Like, in each of the games, for the most part, one team's been really going and one team's not. And I think that's where things have been at. I can't help but to expect and prepare for the fact that both teams will be going the rest of the way here, and as a result, things will be real tight.
How do you think Jack Campbell's handling those ups and downs?
I think he's been great. Chatted with him yesterday. Whether it was coming out of game 2 or coming out of game 4 here now, I think he's been in good spirits and has handled it really well. Obviously, his response in game 3 was outstanding, so we're expecting more of the same.
How much thought did you give to making the lineup change to Sheldon, please?
Lots of thought. We went through a lot of different scenarios and looked at different things, and ultimately just focused on last game and watched it back a ton and looked at a lot of different things, and ultimately just decided that the same group with somewhat of a different look on forward is a good way for us to go.
Justin's saying there's just been so many penalties. Is it a good penalty killer? Is that the justification? Like, what are the big reasons that Justin Paul will still be annoying?
Well, it's part of it. There's a couple things. Like I've already said this, when we set our 6 to start games 1 and 2, we gave Liljegren the edge on that, mainly because of his chemistry he had with Giordano. And the fact that we put Muzzin with Brody and we're comfortable with that, and Riley and Bush have been playing together, and we like what Bush has brought. So that was the 6 that we went with. And then the Gio Liljegren pairing didn't go very well in games 1 and 2. not nearly close to where it had been in the regular season. So that combined with how many power plays there had been, it was just for me an obvious change for us to put Hall in. And he's stabilized our penalty kill. That was a lot of other things, but he's done a good job there, as our whole team has. And then same thing, like I say, I watched the game back the other night, and to me, the Giordano Hall pairing was as good a pairing we had, and I've watched the game back 3 times now, and Halsey's a driver of that a lot. So to me, he's coming off his best game, certainly of the 2 that he played, and for all those reasons, you just keep going with it.
Is there a reason you guys nominate 1 and 3 certainly to start, they nominate 2 and 4 certainly to start? Can you put your finger on why that was, why there was such a disparity in those 4 games?
No, I can't. It's hard, other than say, like, we haven't really had a game yet where both teams are really playing and driving and rolling at their best. It's been a little bit of a disparity between the 2. Now, I felt in game 2 in here, I felt we actually had a really good start, and we were rolling pretty good. It just so happened we took some penalties and they scored at the end of the first period and then never really got it back from there. So there's been some differences that way, but in terms of why teams have pulled away, it's hard to really pinpoint.
Do you see anything different from John, as the series goes on, considering just how important his voice is in the room, but how he's kind of, struggled to get going offensively?
No, I mean, John's gone through this all season, right? I mean, listen, you get a lot of attention on guys. The reality is we played 4 hockey games. It's not uncommon for, as much as you want to let's play us and you want everybody to be rolling, you want everybody to have over a point a game, like that's just not really the reality of how the league works. Obviously, Matthews and Marner have done very well, and they've produced at a good clip. To me, John's worked extremely hard. He's done good things. He made an elite play to Willie on the goal they scored in the 3rd period the other night. He's doing a lot of little things that we're asking him to do, and we think as this series goes on, he's going to have lots of opportunity to make a difference. And each night it's somebody different. In game 3, it's Kampf and it's Blackwell and it's Labushkin. These guys are making plays. John's time is going to come, and that's good news for us. The fact that we're here, we were in this series, and we're competing at a high level against a very good team, and both he and William have more to give. It's a good thing for us.
You mentioned at the outset of the series that Kyle Clifford was a part of your best 4th line. What about what your group has done and what Tampa's group has done to sort of sway your thinking on that?
Well, Bunting's come back, and Cash has come in and remained in our lineup, so that's changed the way things have gone for our 4th line, down the stretch. So there's that piece, and so we have Blackwell. It's been somewhat of a mainstay for us. Cash is there, so it really comes down to a decision between one of Spez and Simmons and Cliff. So at this point, I really liked what Spez gave us in game 3. And, game 4, obviously not many guys had great nights, but we're expecting a bounce back here today. And, with the look that we have and, some potential adjustments we could make during the game and stuff too, I just like the ability to have Spez in.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.